Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Well, in today's video I want to have a little bit of fun. I want to talk to you about something that I did a number of years ago. Well, I've actually done it multiple times. And what I learned from it. Now, you have to understand, unless you watch me on my YouTube channel, which has just started in the last couple of years, or unless you've met me in person, I'm really not that recognizable of a face. So I'm able to get away with stuff that more recognizable people just wouldn't be able to get away with. Now, over the years, I put on photo seminars for groups, for organizations. I've spoken at different events, and I've got to do a lot of fun stuff. I've taught in person. And even with doing that, I'm still not a recognizable face that you would say, hey, I know that guy. Very few people come up to me on the street and say, hey, you're Mike Patterson. Now, enough do that annoy my family and friends, but I'm still not a recognizable face. So over the last number of years, I've had the opportunity to go to photo courses, workshops, weekends, big events, as an unknown. And it's actually quite fun. When I'm teaching, when I'm one of the speakers, people recognize me and they're very guarded around me. They don't want to say anything because they're afraid that they're going to make themselves look like a fool, or they're going to say something that offends me or something like that. But when I show up as just an unknown person, I get to hear and I get to talk to people on a one-on-one honest basis and get to understand them from a different, complete point of view. So I want to talk about some of the things that I've got to do over the few years and what I've learned from people that go to some of these courses, that spend thousands of dollars to go to some of these courses. And even some of these courses I put on myself. I was the organizer of them. I brought in the speakers. I brought in the companies that talked about products and stuff like this. But again, they didn't recognize me, so I was able to move freely about. So I think this will help you to get something out of your photography and to understand just you're not alone. So one of the first things that I picked up by moving freely throughout and talking to people is no matter how confident the person sounds when they're talking to you, no matter how much money they have invested in their gear, 90%, if not 95%, if not 99% of the people that go to these courses and workshops and that go to these seminars, go to these trade shows, haven't got a clue what they're doing. Now, I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'll put up my hand and say, hey, like count me in as that as well. But a lot of these people that we look up to and say, hey, that person's got it all together because they're carrying $35,000 worth of camera equipment or $60,000 or $100,000 worth of camera equipment. They must know what they're doing. Nope. To be honest, they're as confused in a lot of areas as you and I are. And it's funny to see, and it's a relief to see. I went to this one seminar. I was not the speaker there. I actually knew the speaker. He asked me to come and to be an assistant. They didn't introduce me at the beginning. I snuck in the back door. I mingled throughout the group. I listened to people. I talked to people. They thought that I was just another one of the people there that was learning photography. And as I moved about, I heard different people talking, and I would move over that direction so I could hear them talk a bit more. And in this one group, there was a gentleman that must have had, I'm going to say easily, a couple $100,000 worth of camera equipment with him. We were outside. He had his vehicle parked out there. It was a Mercedes SUV. The back of it had customized drawers in it. People were flocking around him to see his setup and everything. And then we started doing some pictures, and we started talking to different people about what was happening and everything. And no matter how much money you have invested, it doesn't make you necessarily a good photographer or a knowledgeable photographer, because this guy was one of the first to admit he didn't have a clue. With all the gear he owned, with all of the stuff that he brought with him, he didn't know any more than the 14-year-old that was there with a little point-and-shoot camera. And it was a relief to see. It really was. It was something to hear this person admit, I struggle with manual. I struggle with understanding shutter speed, with aperture. I struggle with. It was great to hear. It actually put a lot of people there at ease when they saw this guy admit, I don't have it any more together than anybody else does. Now, jump forward a little bit. When they did introduce me, it was pretty funny to see some of the faces because the people realized how open they had been with me. But I put them at ease very quickly by saying, hey, I understand 100% of what some of you guys are saying. I understand. I struggle with. I have issues with. One of the gentlemen that was in the group that I was listening to actually said he's quite a famous photographer. And he says, boy, I cannot tell you how many times, not once, not twice, but hundreds, if not thousands of times, I've returned from taking pictures from a road trip, out shooting nature, wildlife, and I came back and I went through my pictures and thought, if I just would have done this, if I just would have taken a bit more time, if I just would have changed this angle. And to hear this guy to be open when we were talking and I was a nobody, it was really a relief to hear. And when I was introduced and we got talking, I actually mentioned that conversation and how relieved I was that I wasn't the only person that was struggling with this. And it was actually really great to hear. Other things that I've heard of some of these seminars is how people just can't grasp the most basic thing. And again, I'll put up my hand. I can talk about something over and over and over again. And then I go out in the field and I go to use it and it's a blank. And it was great to hear. Again, some people here were spending a lot of money to be here. They had flown in. They had taken a week out of their time to be at some of these courses. And to hear that what they do and that they've been published in big magazines, they've had calendars done, they've written books, and to hear them say that they have struggled with the most basic, simple thing, I went, yes, I'm not the only person. So here's what I wanted to get to you. Here's what I want you to understand from this. Just because you think that you should be further than you are in your photography knowledge, just because you think that you're behind somebody else that looks better than you or that seems to be doing more than you, just because you've been involved in this for a lot of years, it means nothing a lot of times. We all stumble with the same stuff. So don't get overly concerned. Don't get overly upset. Don't get overly frustrated because we all go through the same thing. We all struggle with the same issues. Relax. Take it easy. Enjoy photography. Do what you can. Learn what you can. And move on from there. Honestly, large groups, it can be hard to learn because we all think that everybody else is so much better than us. Small groups can be hard because we're intimidated to ask a question. But if you're going to take a class, enjoy it, learn what you can, be honest with the teacher, be honest with the people there, and just come away with a little bit more knowledge. So until next time, have a great day. We'll talk to you soon. Get out there and take some amazing pictures. Bye-bye now.